We Mean Business in Somerset County is brought to you by the Laurel Highlands Business Park. Offering nearly 100 acres of possibility, the Laurel Highlands Business Park is minutes from interstates and highways, providing easy access to regional markets and ports. The Laurel Highlands Business Park is shovel-ready and is in a welcoming, hardworking, and fun community. Contact the Somerset County Economic Development Council to learn more about the Laurel Highlands Business Park.
Welcome to We Mean Business in Somerset County. I'm Marty Radovanic, pleased today to be joined by Tom Kurtz of the Windber Research Institute. Fancy title, Tom. Sounds a little bit intriguing, but I would like to think that most people have no idea what's happening in that building in Windber, Pennsylvania. So give us a thumbnail. What does Windber Research do?
That's correct. I talk to a lot of people in the area, and we invite a lot of people to tour that for that very reason. And I think we're better known internationally than we are right here in our own hometown, the borough of Windber, or even Somerset County. And Windber Research Institute is a private, not-for-profit biomedical research institute that was founded almost 20 years ago with an earmark, those dreaded earmarks that we've all heard bad things about, to work with the Department of Defense in providing clinical treatment, but also translational research, which means trying to take research that scientists use at the benchtop and apply it in a clinical setting. We were one of the first research institutes in the world to do that. But as a side result of that, we started collecting tissue. The founding fathers of that were farsighted enough to know that there's going to be a lot of research that's going to need quality tissue. And at that time, 18 or 20 years ago, tissue was treated as a medical waste. It was something you had to pay to get rid of. There were no commercial banks out there that were viable because it's an expensive proposition. But because we had funding of the government to do that, we started collecting tissue. And not only did we collect tissue, we collected blood and healthy tissue.
From who?
Cancer victims, predominantly at that time, breast cancer victims. We got a little bit of flack in the beginning because we were doing it mainly with the Department of Defense, which would be service women and dependents of servicemen at Walter Reed. And there was some saying we shouldn't be doing research in the government, but this is the perfect place to do research in. As I said, we collected that tissue, but we also had the clinical disposition of that woman, so we know what happened to them. We also collected 750 fields of demographic about those women. So we knew if they breastfed, if they smoked, if they had drank coffee, what time they got up in the morning, if they exercised. And if you look at it now, in retrospect, you see this is the kind of questions people look at. What causes certain types of cancer? And we had so many fields of demographic, we had to start our own bioinformatics department. We have 7 scientists right now that do nothing but collect the data, look at that data, analyze that data, and put it in a format that scientists can use. Now our tissue is sought after by scientists all over the world.
Scientists, what kind of people are you attracting to work there?
A variety of them. Mainly in the oncology field, obviously, because of the thing. But we also look at social scientists, people that are looking at environmental effects on cancer because of the demographics we have. We've done studies on breastfeeding. We know that African American women get cancer less often than Caucasian women do, but when they do get it, it's almost always fatal. They get a type of disease, a type of cancer called triple negative. But our scientists also started looking back and seeing that if a woman breastfeeds, the chances of getting triple negative breast cancer is almost 50% less. So, but not even touching the tissue, but just looking at the demographics, if there's a health habit that someone could do, if African American women would breastfeed, they could reduce their chance of getting triple negative breast cancer by 50%. So these are the type of research you can do without even touching that tissue. It was just demographics, it was having the tissue, knowing what type of cancer a woman had, and doing it. We did studies on deodorant. We knew that there was cancer caused in certain quadrants of a woman's body, and it coincided with deodorant. We did studies on what types of deodorant they did. So,
what kind of people or specifically did you attract to work in this? I mean, you're talking about coming to Windber, Pennsylvania,
Correct.
Not exactly a thriving, city. I mean, it's a small town.
We currently have 7 PhDs representing 5 different countries from around the world, and these are scientists at the top of their game. These are scientists who could walk into any academic medical center in the world, not just in the United States, but in the world, and immediately get a job on their faculty. Our attraction is we're a 50-person research institute with state-of-the-art equipment. There is nothing better out there. And our sale to them when we recruit them is you can come to a small community, have all the advantages of a small community, low cost of living, a great environment to raise your family in, and not sacrifice your professional career.
What does that say about what's available in Somerset County? Because I don't think a lot of people would put those two together.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with you. And we have the same issues, any small hospital has in the country in recruiting physicians. There's a shortage of physicians, and when you look at paper, one of my recruiters is in the Midwest, and when we brought him on to help us recruit physicians for the medical center, he said, "Have you even Googled that area?" And we said, "Yeah." And he says, "You're competing with the North Carolinas, and you're competing with the LAs and the Floridas of the world, but yet we're 80% successful once we get a candidate to visit us. Once they step foot into this region and see everything that we have to offer here, that you're not sacrificing anything to move here, and there are great places to work. Our medical center is, again, our pitch is you can come here, work here, develop a relationship with your patients, and see them in church on Sunday and still have that type of relationship that you can't get in these bigger cities and in these resort areas."
And you're also, at the Institute, you recently partnered with a billionaire who is, his grand plan is to cure cancer. I mean, that's really a simplistic view, but that's what he's thinking of doing.
And that's his whole mission in life.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Patrick Soon-Shiong is arguably the most influential individual in healthcare as we speak. I mean, he's amassed billions of dollars working in a field. He's the richest physician that's ever lived. He's the richest person in LA, but you would never know that. He's the kindest, most compassionate physician, above all, that I've ever met in my life. I saw him on 60 Minutes following a football game, and it would intrigue me because it said, physician disrupting cancer. So I watched the football game, and you know how they delay it and thing. And I watched it and I said, well, he may have an interest in the Research Institute. And so I made a cold call to California on Monday and got to his assistant, who the first words out of her mouth was, "What's a Windber?" Yeah. And I saw Dr. Soon-Shiong on 60 Minutes. She said, "You and 50 million other people." And I told her my story, and she said, "Listen, Mr. Kurtz, you're a nice man, but the chance of him calling you back, he's 120 days behind on his phone calls. The chance of him calling you back are slim to none." And I said, "Well, we'll give it a shot." The next day, she called me, and he says, "He wants to talk with you." And I thought, well, 120 days from now. And I said, "When?" She said, "Tomorrow," which was a Thursday. And he called me, and he has a really good memory, as you can imagine, and he says, "I've heard of you. A few years ago, we provided tissue to the National Cancer Institute when they mapped the human genome for breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And it was Mayo Clinic, Fox Chase, MD Anderson, and Windber. And he said it was like one of those IQ tests, wasn't what doesn't belong, in that sequence. Right. And he said, "I've always wondered what a Windber was." And he started telling me about it. And lo and behold, that started a series of events. He flew out to see us, spent an entire day with our scientists, and wanted to become a part of us. And it became a natural progression for us. Everything we did, he wanted to do, again, with his mission to cure cancer. And so we become a partner with him. He's the chairman of our board of both the hospital now and the Research Institute. We're still not for profit. We're still a community asset, but he's been able to provide us with not only financial support, but scientific guidance. As you can imagine, he has some of the best candidates or scientists working for him in the world, in LA. He has 5 sister hospitals in LA that we're part of that family now. We can exchange some resources amongst them. So we don't, if you look at, you're not going to find a 50-bed hospital or a 50-person research institute anywhere in the world like this. Nowhere in the world like this. And I'm not saying to be a braggart. It's just, it doesn't exist. And it sits right here in Somerset County. And it's by no accident, though. If you look at this region, if you're looking at medical field or you're looking at the scientific area, we're centrally located between the University of Pittsburgh and Penn State University. We're equal distance from that. Easy drives back and forth. There are a lot of our local students choose those campuses, and a lot of them want to come back to this area to work. So we're strategically located. The type of things we do don't need highways. They need data highways, which we've got fiber optics into Windber. So we can transmit data all over the world. We ship tissue all over the world with FedEx. So it's the perfect environment for somebody to do that, that wants to come again, work, or look at establishing a scientific or a medical type facility in this area.
Because, and even though it may appear to be small town, rural, agricultural based, that's part of the charm.
It really is.
That allows a billionaire to partner and to further the mission being done by the Research Institute.
Yeah, he actually, and I'll quote him, he calls Windber a national treasure with our tissue repository. And again, he's doing it for all the right reasons. He's not coming in here trying to make money off of Windber, Pennsylvania. And he really just wants to further his mission on curing cancer. And I think some of the things he's doing is setting the stage to maybe not cure cancer in the next 5 years, but I think dramatically, positively impact the survival rates and the occurrence of cancer.
And it's being done in Somerset County. Tom Kurtz,
Right.
Windber Research Institute, thanks very much
Thank you
for joining us today. And thank you for watching.